Hi, I'm Andrew, one of the developers trying to shape the future of testing at Cypress. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can quickly start creating fast and reliable end-to-end tests using Cypress. I'm starting with a project that already has a package.json file. Let's add Cypress to this project by running npm install Cypress, passing in the save dev flag to make Cypress a dev dependency. Installing Cypress locally will allow us to manage the version of Cypress at the project level. However, if you just want to get started right away, or you have a reason not to add npm dependencies to a project, we offer a direct download option that makes it easy to get started without the need for npm. As part of the install, Cypress has provided us with instructions on how to open it. Let's start Cypress by typing node modules /bin/cypress space open. When it opens, we'll see that Cypress has helped us out by seeding our project with some folders and sample files. We can click the OK button to dismiss this message. Notice that we currently have a single file shown under integration test. This is the example spec that was seeded for us when we started Cypress. Let's leave that for now and open the project in our favorite editor. And let's create a new file under Cypress integration, and we'll name it sample_spec.js. When that file is created, Cypress will pick it up and it'll be shown in our list of integration tests. Now we can just click on our new file in the list to launch it in the Cypress test runner. We'll be presented with a message letting us know that there were no tests found in our file. And this makes sense because we selected our new empty file. Let's open that file and create our first test. We'll start out with a describe block. Describe helps us keep organized by grouping related tests together. We'll just call this one my first test. Inside the describe, we'll add our first test with an it function that describes what our test does, which in this case isn't much. Then we'll add an assertion to our test. We'll keep it really straightforward and just assert that we expect true to equal true. This syntax may seem familiar to you. That's because Cypress comes bundled with some popular tools and frameworks. Here, we're using the describe and it functions provided by Mocha, and the expect function comes from the chai assertion library. With our first test written, let's save this file, and we'll see that as soon as we do, Cypress gets right to work and runs the test for us. This test may not do much, but we have a passing test, and that's enough for us to get a taste for how Cypress displays test output. On the left, we have the command log, and it shows the test suite, the individual test, and our assertion. Since our test is passing, we can see a green check mark next to the test description, and the assertion is shown in green as well. On the right, we have an application preview. Right now, it's displaying the default page, but when we visit a page with our test in a moment, we'll get to see the app preview in action. The test status menu is showing us that we have one passing test, none of our tests are failing, and the time it took for our test to run. Now let's see what happens when our test fails. We'll use the test we've already created and make it fail by updating our assertion. We'll just change the second true to false, ensuring that our test will fail, and then we'll save the file. Just like before, Cypress runs our test for us right away, and we'll see that the command log and status menu are now showing that our test is failing. Our green check mark has been replaced with a red X, the test menu is now showing one failing test, and our assertion is highlighted in red and accompanied by an error message letting us know why our test failed. Now that we're a bit more familiar with the Cypress UI and the essential code required to create tests, let's look at an example that does something a little more useful. Tests generally follow a common structure involving three phases, often referred to as arrange, act, assert. First, we want to set up the application state. Then we want to take an action, and finally, we'll make assertions about the updated application state. For this test, we'll perform a number of steps. We'll visit a page, then we'll query to find an element, and once we've found our element, we'll interact with it. Then, we can make an assertion about the changes in our application. Now that we have a plan, let's replace these comments with an actual implementation of our test. We'll access Cypress commands through the global sci object. To visit our page, we'll execute the sci.visit command, passing in the location of the page. We'll visit the kitchen sink app hosted at https://example.cypress.io. We can save the test at this point, and we'll see our test will run, and our app preview will end up showing the kitchen sink app. We've successfully visited a web page with a single Cypress command. Now that we know our visit command works, let's find an element on the page to interact with. We'll add a call to the sci.contains command to find an element that contains the string type. We can save our test, and we'll see that everything runs like it did before. Even though the app preview isn't showing it, Cypress has found our link. We can be confident that this worked because many Cypress commands, including contains, have built-in assertions, and our test would have failed if the element couldn't be found. So even without any assertions, our test is already proving to be quite valuable. With our element found, let's click on it. All we need to do is chain the click command right to the end of our contains command, and this time the app preview shows us a new page when the test is finished. Clicking that link has successfully navigated our app to a new page. We can access the new URL with sci.url, and we want to assert that this is the expected URL, so we'll chain a should here. We'll assert that the URL should include /commands/actions, and when we save, we'll see that our test loads the initial page, finds and clicks the link, and asserts that the URL is what we expect it to be. This is great. Now we have a test that verifies the expected behavior of this part of our application. Now if there is ever an unexpected change to this behavior, our test will catch it for us. In this same test, we can find and interact with more elements and make additional assertions. We can use sci.get and pass it a class name to find an element based on a CSS class. Then we can chain the type command to type text into the selected input, and we can continue the chain with an assertion. Here, we'll verify that the input's value reflects the text that we typed. When we save this and our test runs again, we'll see an updated command log with our original series of commands, the first passing assertion, and then our new get and type commands, followed by our second assertion. Cypress shows us everything that happened as a result of our test. The Cypress command log gives us a ton of useful information from running our test, but that's just scratching the surface. Cypress also gives us some really powerful debugging capabilities. Hovering over a command in the command log will update the app preview with a snapshot. This snapshot reflects the application state at the time that command resolved. As we can see here, this is the point when the contains command found the type link. Also notice that in addition to having our target element highlighted, the URL also reflects the page location at that point in our test. Cypress has given us the ability to time travel through the changes made to our application throughout the course of this test. We also have the ability to pin a snapshot so we can perform a deeper inspection. By clicking on the click command in the command log, I've pinned this snapshot. Now, hovering over other commands won't update the app preview with their own snapshots. The snapshot has highlighted the element for our link, and we also have a red dot indicating the hitbox, pointing out the location on that element where our click event occurred. We've also gained access to a new menu. We can use this menu to hide and show the highlighting of an element, and we can even unpin the snapshot right in this menu when we're done with it. When a command results in a visual difference in our application, we can use the snapshot menu's before and after buttons to see the UI before and after the command resolved. In this case, we can see the input with the email placeholder text before the type command resolves, and the after snapshot shows the same input with our typed text. Aside from the commands we explicitly defined in our test, the log is also showing us some page events. Page events are added to the log by Cypress, and they represent important events that occurred during your test. If we weren't certain before, the page load and new URL page events here are clear signals that our click command triggered navigation to another page. We can gain more insight into the commands by using the DevTools. If we pin the get command and launch DevTools, we can see that the console contains some contextual information for this command. We have the command name, the element that the command yielded, the number of elements, and the selector that we passed to the get command. All of the command log output, time travel, snapshots, and logging through the DevTools will go a long way to help us debug our applications, but sometimes it helps to debug in a more interactive way. Cypress provides some special commands for debugging. One of those is called pause, and it does exactly what its name suggests. If we add a call to sci.pause right after our visit command, we'll see that the test visits the kitchen sink app and then waits on the pause command. We've gained a couple more UI elements too. We can see a label letting us know that our test is currently paused, and next to that, a resume and a next button. Hovering over the next button will show what the next command is, and clicking on it will execute that command and pause on the next one. That's right, we only need to issue the pause command once to step through all of our commands one by one. Each click will execute the next command and then wait for us. When we're done stepping through, we can run the remainder of the test as usual by clicking the resume button. As we've just experienced, Cypress not only makes writing end-to-end tests straightforward, but it provides a rich environment in which we can debug and gain insights into our application's behavior. We've only scratched the surface of the powerful API provided by Cypress. I invite you to install Cypress, look over our comprehensive documentation, and join our community by participating in the conversation in our Gitter channel, follow us on Twitter, or even by making a contribution on GitHub.